Good morning, year one. So today we're going to have a go at retelling the story of Grace Darling. I'm obviously not going to expect you to write the whole story exactly as you can remember it from when we looked at our story map earlier on this week. But I'd like you to have a go at least writing a caption or a sentence for the main parts of the story. So I'm going to model this to you in this video, and we're going to do it a little bit like when we do holding and writing a sentence. That's something that's been working really well in school recently. When you come to write this on your own, you can kind of do it with the video, so you might want to watch it through once now and then have a go at writing it, or you might want to grab your red books now and we can work together as we go along. It's important that you do this as independently as you can, like we would be in school. Obviously, you're getting this support from me. Obviously, if there's an adult at home and you're not sure how to spell something, you might want to ask them for help. But I do really want to see how much of this you can do, because obviously by the time we come to do our sort of hot write for this task, you will be back in school, which will be lovely. But I don't want to sort of look at the two pieces of work you produce and think, the first one is so much better. Because obviously in school you'll get the support from me, but you're not going to have somebody sort of sat next to you supporting you the whole way through. So just want to see the best that you can do today, please. So on each of these slides there is part of the story map, and there's sort of the key parts. So they're not all going to flow together necessarily like a story, but it's the key sort of parts here, so that's what we're going to focus on today. So we have got the beginning of our story map here. So once upon a time there lived a girl called Grace Darling who lived with her father in a lighthouse. Okay, so that's reasonably long, so I'm going to go on my fingers and see if I can count those words. So once upon a time there lived a girl called Grace Darling. So I'm going to have a go at just writing that first, because that's quite long. That's 10 words already. Okay, so usually if I was doing this with you in class, part of a phonics lesson, we would be going through and having a go at see if we can sound out these words. Well, I might ask you to sound out the word for me and show me your red fingers. So you might want to join in with this at home. Okay, so our first word is once, and that is a tricky word. Okay, that's a red word, so I'm just going to write that once. Then I need to remember to do a space. Upon, p, o, n. It's 4 sounds. Pinch them. P, o, n. Upon. A is a red word. Time. T, I, t, I, There we go. So we've got my special friends here making my I sound. Okay, and they're the ones that hold hands above a friend. Once upon a time there. Again, a red word. Lived. U, I, v, e, d. Lived. A again is a red word. Girl. G, l, girl. G. Got my I and my R making my sound. Girl. Called is another red word, so I'll just write that there. Called Grace. Grace. Remember, this starts with a capital letter because it's a name. Grace. Darling. D, R, U, I, ng. Again, a capital D for darling. R, like start the car. U, I, ng. Once upon a time, there lived a girl called Grace Darling who, I'm going to count the words on my fingers as I go along, who lived with her father in a lighthouse. Okay, who is another red word? We've already had a go at writing the word lived here, haven't we? Lived. Lived. With. W-I. With. Her. Her. Father. Okay, this is again another tricky word. In. I-n. A lighthouse. Light. house is a tricky word. Fantastic, so that's our first sentence done. Okay, so obviously you can go back and have a go at this. I'm going to go through the next one and do the same with you, and then the last ones I'm just going to go through and talk through with you. Okay, so let's have a little look and see what is happening here. Okay, so this is the point where they're up fixing the lighthouse, and Grace Darling's father, Grace Darling's dad, thinks that he can see something. Okay, so her dad shouted at her to pass the binoculars. He could see a ship wrecked on the rocks. Okay, so we'll do this as 2 sentences in fact. Okay, so her dad shouted at her to pass the binoculars. That's 9 words. Okay, her. Dad's quite nice and simple, isn't it? D, d, d. Shout. Okay, we know this ow sound because it is like shout it out. Sh, out. Sh, out. Shouted. At. Her again. Her. To. Pass the binoculars is quite a tricky word, isn't it? It's one of our vocabulary words, so you can always look back for words that are a bit long and a bit unusual. Okay, so binoculars, quite a long one. Don't worry if these words aren't spelled correctly. Okay, try and have a go at using your phonics as best as you can. So her dad shouted at her to pass the binoculars. Okay. I'm going to end this sentence. I'm going to put a full stop. Okay, and I'm going to write the next part of it as another sentence. Okay, I could think about making my sentence a little bit longer. I could think about using the word because he could see a ship wrecked on the rocks. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to start a new sentence. Okay, so he could see a ship wrecked on the rocks. That's 9 words again. He. Okay, and could is a red word as well. See a ship. Ship. Okay, wrecked was one of our words. So it's just strange because it starts with an okay, but sometimes when we have got at the beginning of a word, it actually is with a w, an a w, and an r, making that sound. Okay. He could see a ship wrecked on the rocks. Rocks. Okay, and another full stop at the end here as well. So like I said, I'm going to talk you through the next couple, but I'm not going to type it out, otherwise I feel like you're just going to be here all day watching me, and I'm sure that you are keen to get on with your writing. Okay, so the next bit here, okay, so Grace Darling is shouting that we must help those poor men so they get on their boat. Okay, Grace shouted, we must help those poor men. Okay, so that would be 8 words. Okay, so they got on the boat. So they got on the boat. That's another 6 words. So that could be one sentence because I've got the word so to connect both of my ideas there together. However, you could do that as 2 sentences. Grace shouted, we must help those poor men. Full stop. They got on the boat. Let's have a little look here. Grace Darling and her dad saved 5 lives that night. Grace Darling and her dad saved 5 lives that night. So that's 10 words. Obviously you don't have to write exactly what I am saying. If you want to write things slightly differently, then you can do. You can add more detail if you'd like. You can think about using words that you know how to spell. So we used father to begin with, which is actually a red word. Okay, but dad isn't. Like, dad's really simple, isn't it? D, a, d. Okay, so don't be afraid to change things up to help you write in the best way that you can do. Okay, and then the last one, say reporters came from the newspaper, they were national heroes. Okay, or you could just say they were heroes. National is quite a long word, isn't it? Okay, like I said, this is about you choosing the right level of challenge for yourself. Okay, reporters came from the newspaper. So that's 5 words. Reporters came from the newspaper. They were heroes. It's just 3 words. Okay. Like I said, this is kind of up to you, however you see fit to do it. Please feel free to go back through with your book and we can work on it together. But also feel free to sort of have a good think to look back at the pictures if you want to from the PowerPoint slides here, and sort of decide what you want to write yourself. Sort of wanted to help you as much as I thought you might need help, but I don't want to over help you as well. Like I said, please have a go at doing this as independently as you can. If you do get really stuck, please do ask a parent or an adult at home to help you. I'm sure they'll be happy to. And you can obviously watch back through the story from earlier this week as well before you get started. But I do want to just see you having a really good go at writing these in your red books for me today. So I'm really looking forward to seeing your writing later.